So I wanted to share a funny story that I thought about today from my teenage years. As much as I love metal now, when I was like 15 to 17, metal was like a complete obsession. It's all I thought about. All I wanted to do was listen to metal, play metal guitar, and it really consumed my life. I was basically like those girls that used to faint and have panic attacks at Beatles concerts and Elvis concerts back in the day, except it was fast riffs and fast solos that made me feel that way. So with this intense love for metal, I had a deep attachment to bands and their music. I would say it's a few notches below someone that would carve Slayer into their arm, because that's a whole new level. But I was pretty deep into it. Being a teenager in the mid-2000s, bands like Killswitch Engage, Lamb of God, Children of Bodom, and Slipknot were some of the bigger bands at the time, and all bands that I really liked. But there was one band that I loved more than the rest, and that was Trivium. In fact, Trivium's still my favorite band to this day. But for 1 week, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, in 2006, they disappointed me so much that it almost made me cry. Just to give a little more backstory, I listened to Trivium's Ascendancy more than any other album combined. I'd come home from school every single day, grab my guitar, and try and learn those riffs and solos. I'd go to Ultimate Guitar Tabs, or I'd watch Guitar World lessons like this one. In addition to Ascendancy, I was also a huge fan of Ember to Inferno, which is their first album. In fact, I really liked the demo songs that they released. It was safe to say pretty much everything that they released at the time, I was a huge fan of. So when they announced that they were going to be recording a new album after their 2005 tour with In Flames and Devil Driver, I was stoked. In fact, I was even able to go to the last show, which was in Orlando, because my family just so happened to plan a vacation there at the same exact time. I actually got this shirt from that concert, and I was able to go to a meet and greet. I think they made you buy Ascendancy, and whenever you bought it, they would sign it for you, and they also signed this shirt for me. But like an idiot, I've worn and washed the shirt 100 times since then, so the autographs are totally worn off. I had never anticipated an album more than this new album. I was checking forums and metal websites every single day, hoping that someone would drop a spoiler. After months of waiting, or what felt like months of waiting, they were going to finally make their first public appearance, which was at the Rock AM Ring Festival, or maybe it's Rock AM Ring. I don't know, something along those lines. I found a link to the set, and I figured to be playing at least one new song from the new album, so I was pretty excited. I press play, I hear the opening chorus to Like the Flies, which is one of my favorite songs on Ascendancy, but all of my excitement turned to confusion and trepidation whenever Matt started singing. Literally. I was expecting intense, pissed off sounding screams like in this performance from 2005. But instead, this is what I heard. If I showed my grandma these two clips, she probably wouldn't hear the difference between the two. But me, as a 16-year-old, deep into metal and deep into Trivium, this was like a world of a difference. And I'm like, maybe it's just this one song. Maybe he's just warming up. And then the next song plays and it's the same thing. Then the next song plays and it's the same thing. And then they played the new song, which was Detonation. And I realized, wow, the band that I love so much has changed. It's so funny for me to think of it now, but I was legitimately devastated, like on the verge of crying when I heard this. All because my favorite band is no longer screaming, he's singing everything. And I called a couple of my friends, because I had a few of my best friends are just as into Trivium as I am, and they felt the same way. They were totally crushed by this. This experience is why I can relate to people who are Metallica fans from the beginning of the band. I can imagine hearing Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning, and Justice for All, and then hearing the Black Album. It is a pretty big difference, and you get emotionally attached to a band, and whenever their sound changes, it's almost like your girlfriend cheating on you, or like losing an old friend, or even like your girlfriend cheating on you with an old friend. So I watched that Rock AM Ring performance multiple times, and it never really grew on me. However, when I heard the whole album, from front to back, well produced, how you're supposed to hear it, I absolutely fell in love with it. And still to this day, it's one of my favorite albums of all time. The songs are written so well. I love the 80s influence that's on it. And Matt's vocals really shine through, I think. It really fits the music, and he captures that 80s thrash sound. So it wound up being much better than what I initially thought it was going to be. On more recent albums, Matt's actually gone back to screaming. He still sings too, of course, but he's a more well-rounded and dynamic vocalist. there's always going to be a part of me that wishes they would drop Ascendancy 2.0. But honestly, if they would have never evolved, we would have never got masterpieces like Shogun and What the Dead Men Say. I feel like the past couple of albums, they've really honed in on their sound, and it's like a mature Trivium. They take some of the old elements that they had and mix it with the new, and it's just like this perfect balance. And I'm very excited to hear what they come out with in the future. So the moral of the story is, try not to get too attached to things, because things change, especially in music. The landscape of metal music changes every couple years, you know? There's new bands that come out and new sounds that just change things, and that's okay. And if there's a band that you love that changes their sound, it doesn't mean they sold out. Sometimes, maybe it does. Sometimes, maybe it's not for you, and sometimes it can be like this situation to where the band changed, but they changed for the better, you know? And they evolved as a band. So hopefully you get some laughter out of just me being a little bitch back in the day, or you know, maybe some just insight to a band that you like that changed on you. If there is one, let me know in the comments, because I want to hear some other bands that changed their sound that may have impacted you. But I appreciate you watching. Keep on shredding.